Joining me now is U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Mr. Secretary, welcome back. We appreciate it very much. So as I understand it from your postings, the President has tasked you and U.S. Trade Rep Jamieson Greer to implement the President's vision with respect to negotiations on Japan among our closest allies. So you and Jamieson Greer are going to pick up the ball and negotiate with Japan. Can you tell us more? This is a very important development.
Larry, Larry, first of all, good afternoon. Thanks for having me on. And it is a very important development. And, I'll tell you that the kind of impatience that we've seen with commentators, with the market over the weekend or since April 2nd has surprised me. And President Trump, as you know, is better than anyone at giving himself maximum leverage. So what he's done is we outlined the tariffs on April 2nd and then gave the countries several days to think about it. As I advised on many shows on April 2nd, I suggested that the foreign officials keep your cool, they do not escalate, and come to us with your offers on how you're going to drop tariffs, how you're going to drop non-tariff barriers, how you're going to stop your currency manipulation, how you're going to stop the subsidized financing. And at a point, President Trump will be ready to negotiate. And he had a very, very productive call with Prime Minister, with the Japanese Prime Minister this morning, and he has asked me and Jamieson Greer to take the lead on this. And as you said in your last segment, President Trump is going to be directly involved in those negotiations.
Mr. Secretary, did Japan put an offer on the table? I mean, some places have said we'll put zero tariffs. We've heard that. I mean, actually, whether you buy it or not, the European Union, von der Leyen, said that they would go 0 and 0. Does Japan put an offer on the table yet?
I haven't seen anything from them, but Larry, I can tell you that there are 50, 60, maybe almost 70 countries now who have approached us. So it's going to be a busy April, May, maybe into June. And Japan is a very important military ally. They're a very important economic ally. And the U.S. has a lot of history with them. So I would expect that Japan's going to get priority just because they came forward very quickly, but it's going to be very busy. And President Trump, again, gave himself maximum negotiating leverage, and just when he achieved the maximum leverage, he's willing to start talking.
So there's some confusion about these numbers. We looked up the International Trade Administration, shows Japan with a 4.3% average tariff, 4.3% average tariff, okay? But in the chart that President Trump showed last week, the so-called reciprocal charge-offs, it has Japan at 46%. Now, I know how you get to 46% using deficits as a trade deficit as a share of imports, but that's an odd way to look at it. I mean, really, they may be twice as much as us, but they're not all this much. I mean, 46 is a much higher number than 4.3, and I think there's a lot of confusion in the market about what becomes necessary here.
Well, Larry, first of all, one of the reasons President Trump cut the numbers in half was because of what you just said. The other is that academic studies have shown that it's the non-tariff trade barriers that are the real problem in U.S. having free and fair access to these markets. I mean, if you think about it, I think on most products, the Chinese tariff is only 5%. But does anybody think that that's a free market? It could be the testing in cars. It could be GMO restraints in food. I mean, come on. We buy $3 billion a year of Australian beef, but we can't export to them. So there are a lot of non-tariff trade barriers, and Japan's are quite high. And I am sure that we will have a very productive negotiation with the Japanese delegation.
But you just heard, I don't know if you heard Art Laffer in the prior interview, but Art doesn't believe that the trade deficit should be a metric. I don't really either. I mean, Mr. Secretary, if you get your tax cuts, and I guess you're well on the way, you get your deregulation. These are all huge pro-growth items. Okay. We will grow. We, the United States, will grow faster than Japan. We will grow faster than almost anybody. Therefore, almost by definition, by growing faster than the rest of the world, we're always going to have a trade deficit. So I don't know why you'd want to use the trade deficit in a calculation for a reciprocal charge. I understand your point about non-tariff barriers. I get that. That's why I would have chosen a handful of countries, I don't know, maybe 10 or a dozen countries, and really carefully pinpointed it. But to apply this to the whole world on the basis of trade deficits, is that really the best in your judgment? You've been around a long time. You've looked at these. You've done analysis. Is that really where we should be at?
Well, look, Larry, the trade deficit, as you and Art know, is a result of three things. It's a result of the terms of trade, it's a result of our budget deficit, and it's the result of the level of the dollar. And we want a strong dollar. We are getting our budget deficit under control, which I actually think will help with the trade deficit. And then the third part is the tariff or the trade barriers, which we're seeing. So I am confident that we will, again, as I said, the four factors will be tariffs, non-tariff trade barriers, the currency manipulation, and whether it's wage or industrial subsidies. And I think we're going to have very, very productive negotiations with these. And again, as you said on tariffs, or as you said on taxes, Larry, the real problem has been these barriers, because what we are going to create in the U.S. through lower taxes, energy dominance, and our deregulation, our rule of law, is going to be, we are the best place in the world to do business, and we will continue to attract more and more industry here when these barriers come down. I am highly confident of that.
I just got a couple seconds, Mr. Secretary. We appreciate your time as well. Look, can you get a deal done with Japan in the next week or two? Would sure help the markets. Would sure help the markets, sir.
Larry, I'll reiterate what I said last week. For countries that don't retaliate, we are at a maximum tariff level, and it is my hope that through good negotiations, all we will do is see levels come down. But that's going to depend on the other countries. And President Trump is going to be personally involved in these negotiations. And he believes, as many of us do, that there's been an unfair playing field. So the negotiations are going to be tough.
All right, I hear you. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, a late entry. You're always welcome on this show, Mr. Bessent. We appreciate it very, very much.